All right, guys, we got another episode. This time we have a special guest, our friend Lee. He's not also dental lab owner. He's a inventor, right? Professor,
Oh Lord,
all of the above. I
I think you
mean,
got the wrong guy.
this guy is basically Jack
I,
Rabbit.
I, I thought this was the Dancing with the Stars audition.
Dancing with
Oh,
the
this is the
stars.
dental.
Yeah,
Okay, I got you.
dental with the
Dental with
stars.
stars.
There
Okay,
you go.
okay.
Lee, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. And we have our friend Paulo and I for our podcast, Dental Chronicles. So, Lee, give us a little bit of, thank you for joining us, but I really appreciate you being us tonight.
Anything for my friend Jorge.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I feel special. So, Paulo, anything you guys say? Shout in, share.
Welcome to the dark side.
Dark side. All right, so today's episode is basically Let's Talk Dental with Mr. Lee. So, Lee, give us a little bit about your background, uh, where you started, where you came from, how you got into the dental business. Because I know you're not just like, you're a really special person. You have a lot of attributes. You're well known in the industry. So give us a little bit of
Yeah, yeah,
your bio.
yeah. The anomaly is probably the appropriate description. Um, PhD anthropology, was an archaeologist in the Middle East for a while, and then couldn't make any money with a liberal arts degree, so I joined my stepfather, who was one of the founding members of National Dentex decades ago. So I joined, that's Don Faber, is my stepfather. So I joined Don at Stern Empire in Houston. And
Mhm.
that was in 2000. So I did National Dentex for 6 years, managed a lab in Jacksonville, Florida for them kind of the last 3 years. Then I did 6 years at Sirona. When I heard about those, my sales reps at the lab were coming back and telling me about the machines in the doctor's offices that were making crowns, and I didn't believe them at the time. So subsequently, I found out that it was the CERAC, and
Mhm.
eventually actually went to work for Tom Husing, who was the national sales manager at Sirona at the time. And Tom hired me as a regional sales manager, lab side. And then in 2012, Strat, who was a KOL for Sirona at the time, we met, worked together a few years, and then decided to start our own gig. And we thought about equipment for 2 minutes and said, no way, and decided to go consumables. So Strat and I started our own consumable supply company, Opa Dental, in 2012.
Nice.
Yep. Never since, never stop.
Never stop. Yeah,
Never
it's
stop.
been challenging. Supply's been challenging, I think, as everyone knows, for the last few
Yeah.
years. But it
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
was it was
believe
an
it.
amazing gig for a good 12 years. But the last few years have been interesting. I was talking to some of my Chinese friends. A lot of them came to visit me after Chicago this year, and I was asking them what exactly has been going on, and they said that the profitability of the manufacturing companies um, dropped off, and that kind of pushed all those manufacturing companies to come over to actually go everywhere direct. Not just here, Europe too. So it's a
Wow.
it is an invasion of our by our friends. They said they just got pushed. They got pushed into doing it. Unfortunately, going a lot of them going direct. So that's why Strat and I said, well, there's no growth in supply, so what we have is holding. So we'll crank up the lab again because the other part of that equation seems to be that competent lab restorative work seems to have disappeared, as we've all
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
witnessing for 10 years. So there was an
Yeah.
opportunity again. Once again, we have doctors that will pay any price for good work, and we couldn't pass that up. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's true.
so on that note, Lee, where do you see like the industry leaning to? Like, what do you think? Are we like before it was like, like the small pop mom and pop's lab,
Hmm.
was like being eaten out by the mega lab, right? Because they were
Right.
outsourcing a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
Now it seems that is the reverse, right? Because we have with all this like manufacturings and all this tariff and all this like, it's
Yeah.
not turnaround times. I guess that's like the key point, turnaround times. A lot of the doctors see that and then quality of work. So it seems that we're going backwards now. Now
Hmm.
the doctors want the mom and pops labs rather than the mega labs because it seems that the mega labs have lost touch, right, with the clients.
Yeah, yeah. What I think I understand from my experience and some pretty good sources in the industry is that the larger operations, National Dentexes and DSGs, eventually they converted a lot of their locations to really just pick up and delivery and scanning, and started purchasing their
Mm.
own labs offshore to cut cost, obviously,
Right,
and we know all those operations, and that seemed to work for a while. Uh, and then lately it's been the dandy phenomenon, right? Putting free scanners in the doctor's offices um, in exchange for a minimum amount of work, restorative work a month, and that's impacting a lot of labs. So there seems to be kind of two markets right now, as far as
right.
as we understand, and we're not really chasing that 50, 60, $70
Mm.
that market that seems to be taken care of very well by the dandies and the offshore. Um, we're really going for the doctors that have told us that price is no object at this point, because they need good work to sustain their practices. So it's we're,
Right.
we're we're going uh, for the other segment of the market there,
Mm.
and it seems to be, and it's amazing to us that, well, what we've run into, hundreds of doctors, at least in that West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio region, that's mostly were serviced by Glidewell.
Yeah.
That they have, we've run into hundreds of doctors that have told us, name your price. If you do good work, the
Yeah.
price is no object.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like the niche for the Dundies, like the scanners and everything. I think at one point it works because a scanner like owning like for practices, right? Owning a intraoral scanner was kind of like price uh conscious, right? Because they were
Hmm.
like, well, one, we don't have a lot of, training, we don't have a lot of you know, ability to learn how to use the digital aspect, and at the same time, they were pretty pricey. Now that you have all these companies, I mean, I just witnessed that leaving this past event in Chicago, a lab day. It was like there's a ton of scanners that are pretty good for their price. So now you're
Hmm.
not breaking the bank. You just need to make sure how to utilize them, right? To your best. And
Yeah,
I think the
yeah.
Dundies were taking advantage of that because at one point they're like, look, instead of you spending $10,000, $15,000 on or $20,000 on a scanner, don't worry about it. We'll give you the scanner, send me the work. But they didn't realize that look, you're lacking, it's like a lock contract, right? Like
Hmm.
I give you this, but you have to give me all your work, and basically you just have to eat up whatever work I put out. Like if
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
crappy
And
work
and
is crappy work, and then that's it.
yeah, and on the technological side, and we saw sort of the early circumstance, which, like you referred to, Jorge, which was it used to be a real difference in the quality of the output for the different scanners, and then about 10 years in, they all kind of leveled up. And Strat and I were fond of telling people at that point, all the scanners are good. Now it's really about who has good support. And there was, which caused a shift, because there were some companies that had great scanners that were horrendous on the support side. So,
Right.
that's where it's at right now. Most of the scanners are good. Got to go with the ones that have good support.
Right. Good support, you know, easy friendly, I think that's like the key word, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, because I mean, if you have I got a client last week that had some issues with one of his scanners. He was trying to scan like a dental patient, and the it was scanning, and it was deleting what it was scanning because there was no teeth as a reference. And I think I called Paul on that one. I was
Yeah,
like,
you
hey, I was
did.
like,
I remember. I
I have a
remember that
client
call.
that is having this issue. He's like really upset. It's like, and it's like I'm scanning this stupid thing for like 20 minutes and it keep deleting everything every time it runs everything. And and he called me and I was like, look, all you need to do is like every scanner has a different concept, different setup to
Yeah.
do things, right? How do you do it? How you set it up? And it was he's like, I'm trying to call like the support and no one is picking up. So I'm calling you because you're the
Oh,
lab that I deal with. So I'm like, okay, well, you try this. Overall, long story short, it went down to like he had to take an impression
Hmm.
because he got so
oh,
fed up with
jeez.
it. It got to the point that they got so fed up. The system was like, I never had this issue. I don't know what's going on, but how many of these have you scanned?
Mm.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
that's where it goes, right? I was like, how many of these cases have you scanned?
yeah,
And that
yeah,
was a pause and a deep pause. And it was like, hmm, maybe you should have called your
Uh,
support. Maybe you could have called your lab to kind of give you, hey, this is what you need to do or prepare,
a
right?
heads up. Yeah.
and
Because
and
now,
it's always a little confusing and surprising when we get this is my first case and I want to do a roundhouse. We never understand that. Why don't they start with a single unit posterior and work our way up? I
why?
don't get that. I don't get that. Still don't get
It's
that.
it's more exciting, I guess, because
Yeah.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
And
It
maybe
makes no
maybe
sense.
maybe the logic's coming from the other direction. They figure if
So
this works, then everything else is going to work. So
it's funny. It's so funny you mentioned that because I think it was a couple of years ago. I got a new client. It's like, yeah, I got this beautiful case that I want to do with you. It's like, okay. And I met him at I was lecturing, and after lecture we started talking. It's like, yeah, I got this beautiful case I want to do with you. I was like, all right, let's talk about it. So it's a double hybrid. It's like, Jesus, dude, we're what happened with single units, 3 unit bridge at Crown and Bridge? You just jumping right away on a double
yeah,
hybrid? It's like,
yeah,
okay, fine, let's do it.
yeah, yeah. And
right.
that
It
goes
went
a lot.
fine. It
That
went
goes
fine, but damn.
nice, nice, and that goes a long way back. If you go back to the early Sirona years and the Patterson Sarek reps, when you would co-travel with them, uh, many of them would. You'd hear the phrase "push button dentistry," and as a lab person, you're just shaking your head, and you're standing next to them as they're talking to the dentist because it's just not that easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a huge gap, especially when they're misleading to do something and
Mm,
they just leave to basically left to the dust because no one like there's no 20 like there's no immediate support sometimes. I mean, they're rare those companies that you can call them and then you get an instant support or you call and then they're like, okay, this is what you need to do. Or they say, okay, we'll call you back. We'll create a ticket. And the ticket is like what, 24 hours, 48 hours? Your patient ain't gonna sit there for 24, 48 hours. I mean, you need
Yeah,
that right away.
yeah.
So
yeah,
now
yeah.
it seems that they're landing a lot of the pressure on the labs that are working with them or the partner labs and saying,
Hmm.
you know, you guys are digital, you guys are technical, you guys should know. You
That's right.
know, and then lucky we in the lab business have a lot of acquaintance and a lot of friends
Mm.
and talk to a lot of people that if I don't know, I call this person. If that person don't know, they call this person. But
Yeah.
within the dentist side, I don't think they have that capability. I mean, it's really
Well,
rare.
they might, but they might be with patients also. So
I mean, how many? I don't know. Like I told the doctor, I said, look, I said, do you actually know like
someone,
who's who? Yeah, did someone? How do you talk? Where do you get all these parts from? Like, how do you get into this point? Like, somebody has to give you all this stuff before you can go ahead and try to scan a full roundhouse, a
hmm
dentalist, and you think it's just the same as scanning with teeth, right? So that's kind of like a key point. So
Yeah.
now for you, Lee, question is like on your lab side, what do you see like technology like moving forward? Like, do you guys do a lot of digital, mixing digital analog? Do you just all do all digital? Because you got to shift, right? You got to shift with the what the market is. You kind of go with the wind is blowing. Um, you know, I see like many like people that are within I won't say the name, but he's pretty popular on YouTube, and uh
I
he
know who it
has
is.
he has like his own Shay guys. He does all this digital talk, but everything I see is pouring stone and metal and porcelain. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so are you really digital or are you just partial digital, but you still don't trust the digital aspect? Then you're leaning towards the conventional because it's kind of like if you take this to like a wrestler, right? If a wrestler goes and does like MMA and
Oh,
start
right, right.
getting punched
Yeah.
in the face,
Yeah.
he ain't gonna
He's
stood there and start keep punching and squaring. He's gonna go back to his roots. He's gonna start like grappling, right? So I
yeah.
think I think that's where I see it, like my best understanding on this. Where do you
Yeah.
see that?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when let me see what years was that. When I joined Cerrone in 2007, when Strat was lecturing for them, those years, the point was made quite often in the seminars. Our lab friends would say, I can't afford one of these CAD/CAM systems, and we would often say you probably can't afford not to, because if you don't adopt this stuff, you're going to be obsolete. And I think that's an old General Shinseki quote. If you don't like change, you're going to like obsolescence even less,
Right.
Yeah.
irrelevance even less. So, and that, unfortunately, that came to fruition for a lot of our older friends, kind of my dad's generation, the Strat's generation, because they fought it forever. And you can still find those guys that are still lost wax, porcelain to metal. They're out there.
Yes,
Um,
they are.
but
Yes, they are.
but it's hard now with the well, I guess actually now that the doctors are saying price is not a problem, I guess it's back. But we went for about 15 years of the labor cost of that was impossible with the price pressures we were experiencing. So we definitely like the monolithic ceramic materials like zirconia and lithium to silica. We definitely jumped on that to reduce labor
Mm.
to try to stay competitive price wise. For 15 years or so, but seems like it's come back around. We're surprised how many people, how many doctors are asking us for feldspathic veneers. We
Really?
thought that was gone, but
How
it's
No,
did
it's
not.
actually coming back. I see a lot of
It
people are
is, yeah,
asking it again.
exactly.
why?
And
Why is it material issue? Why? Because I mean,
from what I,
we have the
yeah,
same requests and we don't have
yeah.
the issue.
Well, from what I understand on the clinical side, in school they're still taught uh, that it's best for the patient for minimal reduction.
Mm.
So I think
Gotcha.
it's still driven by you know dental academia on their side, I think. Because
Another thing that I
yeah.
know, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Another thing that I noticed on the because I worked chairside before joining Implant Concierge. So
Mm.
when I worked chairside, I remember getting new doctors that would come along and would say, "Oh yeah, felspathic." It's like, dude, felspathic has been around for years.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh yeah, but you just have a little coping and layer portion. It's like, that's a different thing though,
Yeah,
really. So it's a lot of people think that anything layered is felspathic.
yeah.
I don't know.
So
Is
what's
it?
that?
I don't know. Is it? Sure.
We'll find out next episode.
Yeah, well, see, but that is actually like that's actually a good thing, because I have doctors that have sent I prefer to have an Emax made instead for posteriors, right? For anteriors, I'm sorry, for anteriors, and I said, look, price wise, it changes, so this is a plug to my friend's business. Aurea Plus is a great material.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is I mean, I basically have talked him into say, look, I'll give you this crown. This is a zirconia crown, for that area where you wanted to put it next to an Emax. And if you don't like it,
Mm.
you don't pay for it, and I'll make
So,
it just to give them an output like a view, right?
yeah,
And they come back to me and say, well, I can't believe that's Emax. That's
yeah,
not Emax. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, it matches. I think it's material wise, because I see there's a lot of like zirconia industries out there that are like pushing a material that it says static, but sometimes either too static or not static enough, or
Or too gray.
not
mhm,
proper firing. The
yeah,
the shades are off. Knock on
Hmm.
wood. I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Opa is being a blessing for us in Michigan. I think it has been awesome. I think, like there's other companies that always want to like undercut you and say, oh, I'll give you zirconia for half of whatever you're paying or this stuff. But
Mhm.
sometimes you have to stick with the product that is going to help
Mm.
you, you know, keep
Yeah, yeah,
keep that relation with your doctor. And I think that's what the doctors are running to, right? It's
yeah,
like the inconsistency on the product and then the result.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's we're fortunate uh to have you, Jorge, as a friend and a client, because that can make a huge difference in the marketplace, because as you know, so much of the lack of translucency problems are just improper firing and improper sintering of zirconia.
Yes.
And so that was one thing that, as older guys, Strat and I always thought would keep us pretty solid in the business, is that we're expert support. Yes, we supply materials, but we're also
Testing.
users of the materials. And
Right.
Mm.
Strat's been making teeth for 40 years. And, I came up under my stepdad, who's a 40-year tooth maker. And, we're what we feel like has always been a driver of our business is not just we sift through the products, whether it's restorative materials or rotary, and it's in our mission statement on our website. We sort through all that stuff and pick the best to offer to our friends in the market, so they don't have to do all that work. Strat has a drawer full of rotary that will never hit the market because it wasn't good enough. And
Right.
for us, that's a service to our friends in the industry, right?
Right.
Mm.
But we're also fortunate to have competent tooth makers like you, Jorge, because if people don't know how to use the stuff, um, sometimes it can, I think some of the other brands maybe have suffered unduly, because I think the product was just fine. they weren't able to support it, and the cumulative effect of not being able to support your material is that your
Right.
users don't use it effectively, and then that becomes your reputation of your material.
Yes.
So
For
it's
sure.
it's all connected, right?
Right, right. Plus Lee has his own Zirconia mine and undisclosed location, so we don't know where he gets it from. So it's
It's from
like
the earth.
it's like Area 51.
My favorite statement of that ever is from another friend, Brad Diver, uh, in Jacksonville, and he said it's from the earth. So let's stop worrying about geopolitics. It's from the earth, you know.
I like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Uh,
He has his own mine. You know. Uh, soon,
That's funny.
yeah.
I think 10 more years that I know him, he'll finally would take me there. You have to at least know him for 20 years. So I got a couple more years to go before I can go to the
Yeah.
undisclosed. It's like the disclosed mine that my buddy has right there. So, well,
Oh, that's
I
good.
mean, and that is true though. I mean, honestly, the I mean, I remember like Straw used to walk around with Zirconia on his packet when you guys
Yeah.
do the traveling, and he would show like how the Zirconia should look like, and if it doesn't
Yeah.
look like that, I think
Yeah.
it goes back to like, okay, let's make sure you're using the right tools that we are using to be able to have the same result, right?
Yeah.
Like,
And you called it, Jorge, because that's exactly what we say. For Y colored layered, not strength layered, but 4Y color layered zirconia should be indistinguishable from Emax if it's centered correctly, if it's
right.
Right.
handled correctly. But I would estimate, gosh, half the market does not achieve that. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
it goes back to what? Firing, I don't know, like like
yep.
ways of utilization. What do you think, Paulo? I mean, you have worked before you work with implant Garcia. You used to do crowns,
hmm
and you did
hmm
them, left and right, and then I was able to even tell you, like, look, all these companies are reaching out, asking you to use this material. Give it a
Yeah.
shot. Send you a test. The reason why you shouldn't shift there is because, look, I'm not having the same results or things like that. Now, you,
So yeah, so my story is actually a little different because our office was very, and it still is, I presume, very heavy with CEREC. So when my former boss went to Vegas for the Dental Arena World, he ended up buying MCX5 and in lab profile. And I was like, I was in my head, I was like, oh my God, no, don't do that. But it was too late. I already purchased. When I got it back, I was like, oh crap, what the hell am I gonna do with this thing? So I tried everything to program that in lab profiler. I tried everything. I just couldn't do it. It was impossible. I was like, forget it. I'm not doing it. So I tried Argon. It didn't fire that great. It was okay. I tried to research other
ovens.
zirconia that has
Oh,
the
okay.
same parameters as Zircad Prime and Zircad
Yeah.
and Zircon, because guess what? Zircad and Zircon were already pre-made
Mm.
in the in-lab profile. I didn't have to do anything. So I tried to research everything. I couldn't find it. I was stuck with Zircon, HD, HTML. Um, they said there was one. They said HD whatever it was. It said, "Oh, it's beautiful." Like
It's okay.
it's all right. Not that great, honestly.
That's
Let's put
not
it
so
like that. STML was the translucency was actually really nice. It did kind of look like an Emax. I have to
Mhm.
give them that. But it tend to be a little too gray, in my opinion. So if it was an A1, it had that gray hue in the back, and I didn't
Mm.
quite like it. It was a true A1. I never tried Zircad. I gotta be honest. I have not tried it. I tried it with the Cerac block, and if you try with the Cerac block and you do on the Speedfire, they look like crap, regardless,
Mhm.
because the color is never there.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, wow.
It's never there.
Is it high value also?
Well, keep in mind the Speedfire is meant for chairside,
Yeah.
so the Speedfire
um,
fires Zirconia in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Because it
what?
maintains it at
Yes.
1200 degrees and then
Yep.
it's ready to go. Which we've always thought just really accelerates the 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 I don't know how do I say it? It speeds up, it shortens the life of the heating elements when they're kept that hot all the time.
Oh,
Oh,
But
interesting.
so have you guys?
that's been
And
our
then,
concern about that process.
because I remember what that was like the MCXL Ceramic Black, right? Is that
Mm-hmm.
what we're talking about?
MCXL, MCX, and now I think a couple years they launched the Prime Mill,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I
which
thought
can mill zirconia block in 3 minutes,
Yeah.
four
I,
minutes.
I I'll tell you guys, I don't think it's ever come up in our conversations, Jorge, but one of the
I have a little photo bomb.
oh,
Get down. Sorry.
no problem. So yeah, years ago there was a massive problem with the wet mills and the zirconia and the zirconia and even the Emax crowns having a lot of opacity. And
Hmm.
no one at Serona could figure it out. And at that time, Strat and I were zirconia suppliers. Opa had already begun, and so that one problem was so hard for us to understand, and it was specifically related to the wet mills. And Jay Black in Orlando did some tests for us at the time, and I still have a picture of this that I can text you guys. What we discovered was happening was uh, uh, Jay centered just a wafer of zirconia. If you can imagine, like one of those zirconia blocks, and you just take your disc, you just shave a wafer off
Hmm.
the. The problem is so bad that we just stopped milling crowns and we just went to cutting wafers off the blocks and seeing what was going on. So what it turned out to be, as demonstrated by Jay's test, that again I can text you pictures of it. What was happening was the there was zirconia residue that was building up in the water tanks,
Right.
and because of the
I
wet
can see that.
mills, so the wet mills recirculate the same water, right? So when you
Yeah.
see
Yep.
those great picture action shots of three water jets hitting the burr as it's milling a crown, whether it's an Emax or a zirconia, that's recirculated water.
Hmm.
And so ultimately, what we discovered was people weren't cleaning their
The
water tanks
filters,
out.
Hmm.
right?
They weren't cleaning out the water tanks and the filters. And so the zirconia residue was infiltrate that water jet was
The water stream. Yeah.
infiltrating. It's just like the old glass infiltration, right? So the zirconia residue in the water was actually being sandblasted onto the surface of the crowns,
Hmm.
and you can see that in Jay's pictures because it's only a millimeter circumference of the outside of the block
Yeah.
that's opaque. The inside is the right shade and it has translucency. And so that was one of our greatest troubleshooting episodes of all time. Still to this day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
What it was really plaguing, as you can imagine, it was really plaguing our customers when they were milling their lithium to silicate crowns. It wasn't so bad with the zirconia crown, but when they were milling their lithium to silicate crowns, it was
It would
making
show
them.
up.
Oh, and so what we then determined what was happening was when they would run the lithium to silicate crowns up in the oven to crystallize them, right? It was it was, the zirconia residue was probably turning to ash, and that's why I was getting so white and opaque, that was infiltrated on the surface.
Right.
So, yeah,
That's
I re
crazy.
yeah.
I remember. I remember. I think your Strout was the one. We have that issue. I mean, when we started with Opa, I remember with the old lab in Michigan with my aunt and uncle. We were using the blacks from Opa, the Opa
Oh,
black.
right. Oh, yeah, yeah. And the
So
MCXL, yeah.
the FCA exists. So I think you guys were the ones that you have to change. You have to buy two residual of tanks,
So,
one for
yeah,
your zirconia, one's for your IM, and then
yeah,
do not mix them and
yeah,
wash them. And I think
yeah,
one other thing was like, kind of like the ratio of the oil and the water mix.
yeah,
Make sure
yeah,
you don't put too much, and it was
Yeah.
like a
yeah, yeah.
whole, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, and
concept.
I think it also, now that I'm remembering, I think it also went the other way. I think the lithium to silicate residue in the water tanks was infiltrating the zirconia, and that was also, and that now that I remember, I think it was the lithium to silicate residue that infiltrated the surface of the zirconia crown that was probably turning to ash in the sintering zirconia sintering furnace and turning very white and opaque. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I
yeah,
remember there
Mm,
was a lot of stuff that you guys were kind of like
yeah,
do this, try this. We were going
yeah,
through like I remember that
yeah,
because we were having that issue. Like all the
yeah,
crowns were coming with like it looked like it had like calcification.
yeah. Exactly.
Well, like
Yeah.
whoa, as long as this, I mean, if a doctor would ask for calcification, perfect. Dead on, man.
Perfect.
That would be it. That's like custom shade right
just
there.
just polish it,
Real
you're
Nailed it.
easy.
done.
Spot it, you know?
That's
Nailed
funny.
it. Nailed it. And
That's
I'll tell you
funny.
that probably the second biggest troubleshooting episode we've had in all our years of zirconia was also more recently uh, when when everyone came out with the multi-strength zirconia that was actually originally Strat's idea. He gave the manufacturers that we used to work a lot with the manufacturers, research and development, and that was originally Strat's idea that they ran with. But another great lesson with end user experience. So what in our conclusion, the reason the multi-strength zirconia really didn't have the impact it should have was because, referring back to what we're talking about, if half the market is centering incorrectly,
Mm,
then what's happening is what we discovered when we tried to distribute multi-layer strength zirconia was that because half the market was centering it incorrectly, everyone just kept pushing all the crowns up into the incisal portion uh, to get more translucency. So
Right.
instead of fixing their centering issues, they would just push the crowns up as high as they could in the disc, and
yeah.
essentially turning everything into uh, uh, a 5Y crown. Um, and so there's just a great lesson in the greatest research. You can do great research and come out with a great product, but ultimately, if the end user doesn't use it correctly, uh, you know, they can kill it.
Right,
Hmm.
right. That is true though. That's
Yeah,
true.
I know
Well,
I know a lot of people that just put the crown all the way up on the disc. Is like, dude, you're just putting,
yeah,
instead of a B2, now you're just making a B1
yeah,
basically, or a
yeah.
B0.
And and Paolo, in your experience, is that because it's just not translucent enough when they center
Yeah.
it, which just points right back to improper centering.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
Agree.
Yeah, that is true though, man. But, overall, I think so to conclude this and circle it back, where do you think, Lee, the industry is leaning now? I mean, with all this like things going, market just shifting. Now everything is I think pushing more towards do more local. Where do you think
mm.
things are leaning towards? Or you think is it gonna be like more of like a um shift to different products. I know now we're seeing a lot of like 3D printed resins that are long term, right? You can print your metal now. They're coming out with
Mm.
this,
Mm. Yeah.
free, no liquid metal printers that they just like, it's like a sand, right?
Right. Right.
Form Rack had just come out with that one. Um, I know, there's Hey Gears just had a new one that they have like the whole ecosystem. Spring
Mm.
Ray is pushing the market to like, oh, telling doctors you don't need to do, a lab. You can just have a
Here we go
a
again.
you can
Yeah.
have a you can have
We've heard
a
this before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You don't need a lab. You have like a, technical tech side, chair side, and then have
Yeah.
them just finish it. Now we have products that are like long term. Now you have
Yeah.
your liquid
Yeah.
liquid zirconia or nano zirconia that can replace the crown that is gonna take you, I don't know, 4 or 5 days to return,
Yeah.
that you can print at a chair side. You just have to have
Yeah.
somebody artistic enough, maybe like a nail tech or something, that can paint it and get it over with, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that's where the talk is. I mean, all these companies are,
Yeah.
where do you see this? Because I mean, we have heard this before,
Mm.
right? And
Yeah.
then
I know. I know
it's like
one. I know.
repetitive.
Yeah. I know. Strat and I laugh at some of the old stuff that gets recycled and it seems new to a new generation of dental people. For instance, my dad and Strat remember very well the art glass and bell glass uh, that they basically had to remake every one of those things because they broke. And so we were laughing when who was it? 3M came out with that recent. I say recent, it wasn't recent. 10 years ago, they were trying to sell everyone on a
Lava.
composite, not lava. No, it was the composite, and then it was the zirconia powder infiltrated plastic. I forget what they
Mm.
called it, but well, we had friends that said, "Oh, I'm just doing these crowns now because they're so easy. They're plastic. I can do full contour, no centering." And as we know, PMMA looks great. We put people in provisionals, and the PMMA looks very nice,
Mm.
color and layer wise. And sometimes it's a challenge when we give them the zirconia one and they like the PMMA version more. So we know how nice plastic looks, but it doesn't hold up. And
Yeah.
so we had friends that we got on jumped on that bandwagon, and against our advice, and 3 years later, 3M's issuing the notice, the stand down notice, that please don't make full crowns out of this anymore. It's only intended for inlays and onlays,
Mm.
which it should be, So you do have that phenomenon going on, and that's the benefit of knowing the old guys like Strat and my dad, right? Because they can tell you, oh yeah, we had that 30 years ago and it was a disaster. Stay away from it. As far as the aggregate metal, I have a few friends in that. Most of the guys I know in that are doing more of the partial frameworks. Um, I did know some guys at Cinevad years ago that were servicing like the Canadian market and European market because back then they used to do titanium copings
Right.
that we never really did
Mm.
in the United States. And one of the one of the detractors on titanium was it would turn black at the margin pretty quick, and
Yeah.
you'd see it through the gums. But but yeah, as far as the metal aggregate market, I don't know that much about it, Jorge. But what Strat and I are seeing on the customer side with the dentist is really, as we mentioned before, it's just kind of that bimodal pattern that there's the lower cost market that's being serviced very well by the big operations, and then there's the other side that seems to be, like you said, very local, very relationship driven, uh, not price sensitive, which is what we like. We like getting $500 for an implant crown, and you know, um, so that's what we see right now, and we service all of them. We take digital scans and do crowns without models. Sometimes we'll take a digital scan. We still print a model for our
Mhm.
and still finish the, even though they did digital, we'll still print a model and finish the
Right.
crown on the model.
Right.
And then we get plenty of conventional PVS impressions, especially with the full arch implant supported stuff like we're doing, like you said, our patent pending Vicker restoration.
Yep.
That
Yep.
that's all still conventional impressioning for many reasons.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's just like, fit, predictability, and
Yeah,
sometimes, I mean, I'm not, by no means digital is not perfect, but it has helped
Mhm.
improve the
hmm
the the turnaround times and
Yeah.
things like that.
Oh, I
Well,
think it's at least half the market, isn't it? That's safe to say. Digital is easily half the market, right?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have.
So obviously someone's doing it to a level that some offices will accept. You know.
I mean, if they're doing a good job and like you said, follow protocol, you
hmm
should you more likely to have a real good success if you have good partnership, good communication, and a lab that actually understands what
Yeah.
the doctor is try to transmit and
Yeah.
send. So
And and
Yeah.
and and you just nailed it, Jorge. What you do well, what we do well, is is probably one of my favorite observations as a relative outsider in dental. The probably the biggest lesson I learned, and what I like to repeat as much as I can from the 40-year guys like my stepfather and Strat, is that no amount of technology solves the biggest challenge in dentistry, and that's faking a margin. And it's not a dig on the dentist. It's because you know posterior, right, distal, lingual margins are hard to cut, or interproximal, distal, posterior interproximal margins are hard to cut for anybody. So it's not a dig on the dentist. That's hard to do the farther back in the mouth you
Mhm.
go. And so the greatest skill and I watch Strat do this daily, is the really good lab people like Jorge and I'm sure you too, Paolo, and my business partner, my stepdad, the expertise that makes these crowns go is that you guys know where every margin on every particular tooth in the mouth should probably be,
Yeah.
because it's rarely in the impression, you
right.
know. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
so the thing that you guys know is on number three, and approximately, the margin usually does this, then it does that, and
hmm
that's what a civil engineer that decides to buy a CAD CAM machine and get into dentistry, he doesn't know that,
Yeah.
and that's why those guys fail.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, with that on note, I mean, I think we hit it. We hit a home run. We definitely need to bring Stroud. We need to
Oh
hmm
have
yeah,
Stroud
yeah.
on
You
this
got to get
call.
strapped.
So we're gonna have Stroud
You got
on
definitely got to do the strat show.
on the follow-up. The Stroud show has to be for sure. So we have, Lee, I really appreciate it. Thank you, my friend. That was great. Thank you for joining us today. I think with that note,
Thank you.
you know, I can't say anything else other than that is true, though. I think um, we're gonna still here for a couple more years. We're not quitting yet, you
Nope.
know. So
Yeah.
we would adapt to, but I don't think we're not that to that point that we just we did the on analog part and that helped us improve on the digital part, and I think
hmm
that's
Yeah.
just like what Lee said, with Stroud and then all this people that actually like dig the do it hands-on knows exactly what the outcome should be.
I
So
mean,
on that note,
even knowing the fact that how to take an impression, traditional impression is big. Because
Right.
most of the times nowadays, most people don't even know the
Right. They
differences.
just
I mean, I wouldn't say the difference between open and closed tray impression, for instance, for an implant, but you should know that all on X case, you want to take a traditional impression, don't do closed impression copings.
right.
It just
Right.
makes no
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
Do open tray.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know these little things. Like I was in Chicago, for instance, I was talking to someone. I was like, "Oh yeah, I told this guy to do a closed tray impression for a 4 unit bridge over 3 implants." Like, what?
Right. They don't understand why. They just like
No,
they just do.
Yeah.
So I know we have
Exactly.
our last episode with Vinny. He was like basically saying, look, all these doctors coming out, they're not getting put in, they're not being challenged into like what the new, they're just being pushed into the
Yeah.
new era of technology, but not mixing up with what the old is. Just like yourself, Paulo. You always say, look, if you're gonna do guided surgery, at least know how to do free-handed,
that's it.
at
Yeah,
least
Hmm.
once or twos. That way and you know exactly in case you have an issue or things like that.
hmm,
So,
Yeah.
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 well, guys, I really appreciate you guys tonight. Thank you so much, Lee, for joining us. We're definitely gonna do a follow-up with you and the Strout Show is coming. So
Nice.
thank you, Paulo.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Lee.
guys.
I really
Yeah.
appreciate it, guys. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining us.
Okay. Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure.
All
Peace
right,
out, guys.
pleasure, ours.
Take care. Take care.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye.